So we listened to a podcast. Some billionaire dude was giving us some business advice, and the whole podcast was really, really good. He had really good advice until he got to the money piece of it. And I'm not going to say, hey, dude, you're a billionaire, you're stupid, whatever. But he was talking about how people should invest in their IRAs and basically invest in the market. And he preferred indexes. It was very market driven for him. He's like, just put as much money away as you can, and then you'll have it later because of the power of 72 and the compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding. And if he said compounding one more time, I was going to lose it. Because I'm like, dude, you have talked about the power of 72, the power of doubling. In Life Without the Bank, I talk about the power of doubling a penny every single day. But if we interrupt that compounding, there's a huge effect. He chose not to talk about that. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Today, we're going to challenge a billionaire on what he knows about money. Because, we're nowhere near that, but we know more, I'm sure. So before we start, though, what's your fun fact, Miss Tarisa?
Okay, so another fun random one. So this one says the ancient Romans used to drop a piece of toast into their wine for good health. Hence why we raise a toast, which I did not know until today when I was preparing for our podcast.
We're doing it wrong. I need a piece of bread. Where's the
right?
bread? Where's the bread?
And everyone loves bread with wine, but I've never put it in my wine.
Well, maybe we're drinking wine wrong. Maybe it's a dipping sauce, not...
There we go.
Dip your bread.
Dip your bread.
Mine is wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5%.
Does the bow tie? Like that?
Yeah.
Is that specific to a bow tie or is that include a tie as well? Necktie.
That's a necktie. Well, first of all, my question would be, why are you tying it so tight? And just don't wear them.
Does that impact decision making? There should be studies on that. That's my question.
Yeah, right? So I thought that was kind of funny. Just don't wear a tie.
That is funny. I've always been a bit of a weirdo.
Don't make it so tight.
That too. And I would just wear ties to school because I thought it was a fashionable, cool thing to do. And my dad thought it was the weirdest thing. He really didn't want to let me. My mom was like, just let her do her thing. So also a fun, random, weird fact about me.
Yes.
Don't wear ties anymore, but I did.
So how old were you?
I think I was probably 4th grade, 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
About that time you're dressing yourself and you just let them go. You probably didn't even have your hair combed. I remember my daughter would go to school and she would scream bloody murder. I'm like, then just go with bedhead because I am over it.
I have a very sensitive scalp, so I have to always be the one to comb or brush my hair because everyone else does it so rough. I'm like, what have you gone through in life that makes you feel the need to be this violent towards me? Back off my head.
That's exactly how I feel. My stylist, my hair will get caught in her wedding ring. And I'm like, oh my God, it hurts. Take that thing off. And why are you pulling my hair like that? Yeah, I am a wuss. I can't, it's not just my scalp, but I can't handle a lot of pain. My chiropractor will try to massage me as I hit her. Quit. That hurt.
Get off me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we listened to a podcast that some billionaire dude was giving us some business advice. And the whole podcast was really, really good. And he had really good advice until he got to the money piece of it. And I'm not going to say, hey, dude, you're a billionaire, you're stupid, whatever. But he was talking about how people should invest in their IRAs and basically invest in the market. And he preferred indexes. But it was very market driven for him. And he's like, just put as much money away as you can, and then you'll have it later because of the power of 72 and the compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding. And if he said compounding one more time, I was going to lose it. Because I'm like, dude, you have talked about the power of 72, the power of doubling. right? In Life Without the Bank, I talk about the power of doubling a penny every single day. But if we interrupt that compounding, there's a huge effect. He chose not to talk about that.
You're missing a very big piece of the picture that impacts people so much financially. It's like you are setting yourself back. And I think a lot of people, I mean, obviously this guy is talking about it in this podcast, but it's like there's real life effects to people not understanding how this works for them or works against them, rather. It's like if you're at the age where you want to slow down working or start drawing from whatever you have set aside for retirement and there's a dip in the market, it's like you don't have time to recover that loss.
Yeah, I feel like these people that have a lot of money in the market and have done well, that's awesome. But they truly forget that the market goes up and down. And maybe their market doesn't go up and down. Maybe they literally do not feel that because they have really good people managing their money. But to tell somebody, put as much money in your 401k, put as much money in your IRA, and you will have compound interest. I always talk about it in my weight loss, but compounding usually goes up, not down. So let's talk about it in like the terms of somebody's trying to get super jacked and muscular, right? They're going to compound their physique if they do the same thing every day, if they eat right consecutively. Like you see those body lifters that all they're doing is eating chicken and rice, man. And they are going to win that competition because they look amazing. What happens though, if they have 3 days, a week, whatever, that they don't do that? Are they still going to get to the same level? They are committed to that same process every single day because they want to get here. If we look at it from a business aspect, if we have a business and we're growing our business and we're growing our business and we're growing our business and we're marketing and people are coming in all the time, our business compounds, it makes more money. The second we pull the plug on marketing, the second we have a bad employee, the second that something happens, it tanks that business and then we have to come back up, right? If we just consistently did everything in business, everything in life, and you never had to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, think of where you would be. If I want to read the Bible and I want to do it in a year, I'm going to do X amount of pages. If I don't do that, I'm not going to get there. And it really is it's not even frustrating. It's just mind-boggling to me how these people are billionaires, but not actually releasing the truth of why that's not compounding. The actual act of, I call it uninterrupted compounding.
Right.
But is it really even compounding if it's interrupted?
It's compounding on a smaller amount than it was. Well, and I think that's like the thing that people fail to realize. I love your analogy about the bodybuilder. And it's not even like if he took a week off. It's like if he took a week off and ate McDonald's every single day for a week and then had to jump back into his routine, like that would set him back significantly, or her, whoever is doing the competition.
Yeah. So it says, I had to look up the definition of compounding because I want to,
let's hear it.
Let's be fair, right? And calculate interest on a previously accumulated interest. So that would be right to say it's compounding. The stock market's compounding. I earned a little bit of interest and I'm going to earn interest on that interest. But if I earned less interest, I'm still earning interest on top of that interest that I didn't completely lose. So yes, I guess we can still call that compounding. To me, that in my minor little brain, that's not compounding because when they talk about compounding a penny, they talk about 1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, 8 pennies, right? 16 pennies. They talk about when we're hearing people in the financial world talk about compounding, they're talking about doubling. No interruptions. We're talking about doubling. So automatically, people who think and talk about compounding, they're thinking, oh, my money's doubling. Rule of 72. That's how he figured it. But what is the likelihood that's going to happen without some sort of a bump in the road? Very unlikely. So there's a huge difference between with the terminology of what we're talking about inside of a policy. And so when we're saying you have uninterrupted compound interest because you borrow against the money, it doesn't actually come out of your policy, you borrow against it, versus money in the market that is interrupted. So when we have clients that are going out and talking to Aunt Susie and Uncle Joe, and they're being told that this is a bad idea, they're saying, oh, but Mary Jo and Tarisa said it compounds. No, we said it's uninterrupted compounding. Uncle Joe and Aunt Susie are going to say, well, you can still get compounding in the market. Uninterrupted compounding. Right? My weight loss would be faster if I didn't interrupt it with pizza.
And cookies.
Yeah, that's usually the analogy I like to use. If I'm not going to have a piece of chocolate, it's going to come off faster. But as soon as you make that poor choice, now you've interrupted how fast that's going to happen. It doesn't matter which way you go. Any kind of interruption, if I want to drive from point A to point B, but I stop at someplace in the middle that's out of the way, I interrupted my time to get from point A to point B. It took longer.
Yeah. I was actually doing like a talk about infinite banking. And one of the ways I was able to make this concept visual, and I practice it with my kids just because I'm like, okay, if my kids can listen to this instruction, chances are adults will figure it out. So I told Lily and Kale, I was like, okay, I want you guys to start on one end of the house. One person, you can go as fast as possible, but you have to stop immediately. Like you have to stop 2 seconds after you go as fast as possible. And you have to do that until you get to the end. I was like, the other person, you have to start off slow, but you can constantly pick up speed and go as fast as possible towards the end. And Kale was like, well, that's dumb. The other person's going to win. Like he just was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, but that's what we're doing with our money is we're constantly starting and stopping and it's normalized versus just taking the route that's uninterrupted, guaranteed. It's like, would you go on a road trip with your family with kids in the back if you had to make a pit stop every 5 miles? I would never go on vacation. It wouldn't be called a vacation. It would be called something that has 4 letters attached to it. Right? Like that would be miserable. But if it's like you could pick up speed along the way and you don't have to make stops and it's just like a seamless journey for you, like why wouldn't you pick that? And I think the reason why is because it's been so normalized. Like I remember when COVID happened, I was talking to one of my neighbors and he was like, yeah, I just lost like $300,000 in my retirement account. And I'm like, he's like, so I'm probably going to have to be working like way more years than I anticipated. This interruption is costing you so much more than just money.
Mm-hmm. Because the interruption, let's say he had $1 million. At that point, he was earning, say, 5% on $1 million. Now he's earning 5% on $6 million because he lost how much?
I think $300,000 is what he said.
Yeah, so $7 million. So now he's earning 5% on $7 million, and he has to get back up. Now, if he earns the same 5%, it's going to take him longer to get there. So in order to get there at the same rate, he's going to have to earn a higher rate of return. So now we better go back to a riskier investment so we can have this higher rate of return. And so we don't think sometimes about we're here, but we have to get back here. If we would have stayed here to earn that 5%, oh my gosh, where would we be? But if we need 7%, what if we were here and we were earning 7? How much further would have we been? Right? Yeah, I do this little skit, and I totally forgot about it till now. I do this little skit at my conferences where I have 3 people stand on stage and they're wearing like they're wearing numbers. And we go through every year for 10 years what compound is. simple interest, compound interest, and uninterrupted compound interest.
I love that.
So I'm going to have you guess because you've never seen it. So simple interest is what? We get the same amount of interest every single year. Doesn't compound. If we make $10 of interest, we get $10 every single year. That's very consistent. Then we have compound interest, which is interest on top of interest. And I'm interrupting that compound interest. Okay. So it's interrupted and uninterrupted. I should clarify. So which one do you think? Obviously, we know which one wins. Uninterrupted. Who comes in second? Simple interest or interrupted interest?
Is it simple? Yeah, because it's consistent.
Yes.
Interesting. Yep. That's so fun.
And it may be based on how I illustrated it comes in. Maybe I could have it lose interest one more year, interrupt one more year, or not interrupt as much, and then it wouldn't matter, right? But I interrupted it as much as the market is interrupted. Like I went back and looked at a period of time in the market and said, hey, this was interrupted 3 times, so we're going to interrupt it 3 times in that 10-year period. Or maybe we'll interrupt it once or whatever. And so I actually used actual market returns to do that. But even I was surprised to find that simple interest was winning over an interrupted compound interest.
I was a little bit surprised by that too. But then at the same time, it's like, well, if you're consistently receiving something without having a setback, it's like, that's how the compounding curve happens. It just goes up, but it has to stay going up. And I think that's kind of like the lie that we've all believed, or just like what's been normalized. And I think my question to anyone listening is like, why is it okay for you to lose money that you've worked for? Like, why is that something that people are okay with? Like, if we applied the same sort of thinking to just like our regular bank accounts, like if your regular bank account, you just lost $300,000, would you be okay with that? Because of market performance?
Yep.
I wouldn't. I will take the safe, slow bet every single time.
I lost one time. I lost in 08 and 09, and that made me mad enough. I cashed out with 10 and I lost about 8 to 10.
Wow.
And I was done. I'm done. I'm out. Never doing that again. That's stupid. Never doing that again. And nobody ever talks about the interest. But you also mentioned that he didn't talk about the taxes.
Oh, yes. That's another thing. It's just like you're not talking about the tax implications of the earnings, because if you're saying on average you're earning 7% every single year, which we know is not true, there's actual return and average return. What you're also not considering into that calculation is the implication of how much you're going to have to pay in taxes. So it's like, what is that actual 6 or 7%? It's not really that number.
Yeah. And fees, right? We haven't talked about fees. But in the policy, it's growing uninterrupted, income tax free if you borrow or take it out correctly. Okay, there you have to do that correctly. But inside of an IRA, not a Roth, because taxes aren't a thing in a Roth, but inside of an IRA or a 401k, we have X amount, we've earned X amount, but now we have to figure the taxes on that. And so what is the actual amount at the end of the day after taxes? And a lot of people will figure, well, okay, how much do I have to earn? They'll try to compare life insurance to an investment. I don't even try. Don't ask me to try. Don't email me and ask me to try. Because it's apples and oranges. But some people do try to do it. And they're like, okay, what does the IRA have to have as a rate of return to meet the life insurance policy after the taxes? So because the policy is going to be better than what we have after taxes. So yeah, a lot of people don't. And then you have to figure in fees and all that kind of stuff.
Because if you're thinking about,
pretty simple to just, you haven't even figured in the liquidity of the money in the policy. And oh my God, there's so many variables. It's that this is why I don't talk about it and why it's not about a rate of return. But the uninterrupted versus the interrupted is such a simple concept that we do not hear anybody in the financial world talk about. It was very disheartening to have some billionaire acting as if that doesn't happen. So you're either out of touch with reality of the average investor, or you have somebody really good. You either know it or you don't know it. I would imagine he knows it.
Well, I think in the financial services industry, I think there's too much conversation around what happens in a perfect world. Mm-hmm. And it's like, life does not go like that. Mm-hmm. Everyone that is a human, right? And you have to have room for flexibility. It's like, okay, is this going to work on the best day? Also, is it going to work for me on the worst day? And it's like having that like guarantee in your policy, like knowing that I'm going to have more money in my policy tomorrow than I did today brings me great peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know it's only going in one direction, which is the only direction I want my money to go, which is up.
Yep. Yep. And it's in the financial world, it's very much an average. Look what you made today, unless it's bad. And then we'll look at the average. And this is what your average is, and average and average and average. And your average is never going to really be negative because you don't usually have enough years of losses consecutively to make that negative. So they like to average that out. And they don't talk about the actual piece of that. And so it's just, you're right. It's this pie in the sky. This is what you're going to have. The rule of 72. Just double. Just keep doubling, man. It's fantastic. So can you please show me somebody that the rule of 72 happened from 20 to 80, right? 60 years. I want to see that it was not interrupted and that it was actually doing this rule of 72. Because I think that we've been fed a lie about a rule of 72. It's kind of like the lie of passive income. It's not passive.
It's not passive.
Nothing out there is passive.
Active.
Yeah. Nothing is passive. That is another absolute lie. So that's all. I don't need to beat that dead horse anymore. We've had many other podcasts on it. I just want to talk about it because some billionaire dude is making it sound like it's all gravy. And that gravy has a lot of salt.
Gravy is too salty. The gravy is not what it appears to be.
Does not look like the picture. Okay. Not taste like the picture looks.
That's so funny.
Okay, we'll end there. You guys know the routine. Email either one of us if you need anything. If you got to grab the book, you haven't grabbed the book, grab the book, make an appointment wherever you feel you want to make an appointment, and then let us know if we can help. But you have a fantastic rest of your day.